family has been sick now for 2 weeks. So we are coughing and we're getting over it. We're on the other side, but I don't know if you guys have kids, but when one kid gets it, we all get it. So it's been fun lately in the last few weeks.
Oh, I have a son. I've been keeping him away from me because he got sick at school. So
yes,
I feel it coming down on me a little bit, but
no.
I work in the hospitality industry, so obviously when one person at work gets sick, everybody at work gets sick. So that was all of us a couple weeks ago.
That's brutal.
We started off talking about sickness, guys, but you know how I always say before we get started, hit me with that intro.
I love wrestling.
Check us out.
And you love wrestling?
We love wrestling? Watch that shit, bitch.
Are you even rapping?
Hello, my name is Maria Kanellis-Bennett, and I am the first lady of professional wrestling, and I currently work for AEW. I love wrestling, you love wrestling, which means we love wrestling.
We love wrestling.
We love wrestling.
We love wrestling.
We love wrestling. Yeah!
That's quite the intro.
Thank you.
Like I need to flex now or, do some kind of jig.
It's very fancy.
Talking about how much I've been coughing. That's not good. Hey, you know what? At least it's real.
It's real.
You're catching this cough from me through the computer, I think.
We're not going to put that on you. Guys, welcome to Women in Wrestling. Ooh, it's a great day today. I mean,
it is that.
Let me just talk about this, guys. We've been doing Women on Wednesday. We had Roxy here a year ago. She was like, "Hey, you should watch Ring of Honor on Wednesday. Just watch it." And she came up. The person we have here today, the First Lady of Wrestling, is actually behind some of my greatest moments of enjoyment in wrestling these past 2 years. We have, you see her, Miss Maria Kanellis. How are you doing today, man?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nicole, we're joined by Nicole at the bottom. You see her. How you doing, Nicole?
Good. How are you guys doing? And thank you again, Maria, so much for joining us today. We highly appreciate it.
This is the greatest. Oh. That was my jam. I'm sorry.
Songs of all time. I would go back just to come out to that song one more time.
We literally have arguments in my group chat, and it's like everyone's like the best entrance themes, and someone always throws, and then it spawns like this huge argument that goes on for a couple hours.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's a great song, but I've been blessed because I've had a lot of great songs. And my first song was really not tailored to me, but then Legs Like That was actually for Stacy Keibler, and I ended up taking on that song, which that was so much fun. And that was by Zebrahead, and then having this song, and then my song for Ring of Honor last year was by Dorothy, which is a tremendous female artist. And it was called Black Sheep. And I really felt like a black sheep back then, especially during that first year back of women's wrestling and Ring of Honor. So I thought the song really fit.
We got to touch all that, people. We are going to touch it. But the first question, the icebreaker that we always ask is, why do you love wrestling? / what started your love for wrestling?
So wrestling really gave me the confidence to push back against, the idea that women belong just in the kitchen. Now, hey, I'm good in the kitchen. Now, my grandmother, she's great in the kitchen. But at the same time, I wanted to be able to expand out. I wanted there to be more opportunities out there for women. And watching Lita come out and manage those boys and, with her thong out and just all the attitude in the world and flipping off the top rope, it made me feel like I could do it. And so it made me fall in love with wrestling when I was about 16 years old. I think that just kind of expanded. as I saw more and more wrestling. And so, that really was the start of me loving wrestling. Now, I watched it with my brother when I was a little kid. But in high school, I think when you make those memories, it really sticks with you.
High school. Well, when you were in we're probably about the age go for ourselves. When you was in high school.
It's all right. I'm still alive.
All right. Who were some of your favorites in high school?
Some of my favorites in high school. Well, see, so probably about 18, 19 is when I really fell in love with The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I thought that Tori was incredible, and Trish Stratus, and all their different personalities that they had back then were just larger than life. And I really just enjoyed the entire product back then.
Now, Maria, if people don't know you, you were maybe one of maybe two women, Ring of Honor, WWE, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, now AEW. You crossed every wrestling line there is to cross. How's that being I look at it as trailblazing.
Thank you. I never set out to be like that. When I first started out, it was because of the love of wrestling. And I really didn't know about all the different independent companies out there. I didn't realize that there were companies like Ring of Honor when I started in WWE. All I knew was WWE. So, as time went on and I went to my very first Ring of Honor show when I was still a part of WWE, I went, oh my gosh, this crowd, this environment, it's like contagious. All you want to do is, join the crowd and chanting and all these things. Because WWE at the time, the crowd was so big that you didn't hear them like you would hear a Ring of Honor crowd. And so then, my next stop was with Ring of Honor. And it just kind of happened that I went from company to company. And, I've been blessed with these different opportunities, but it's really fun. It's a really fun place to be in. And I think Brandy is another one that's been in all of the companies, all of the major wrestling brands. But it's a nice spot to be in for sure.
Now, Maria, you get started. You say you only knew WWE, and funny story. I was going to OVW back in 04 through like 08.
Okay.
So it was a lot of people down there.
Mm-hmm.
Now what you're doing in wrestling, I always hear stories about people at OVW. They got to sit back and watch maybe Paul Heyman or Jim Cornette in the back work the business, how the show goes. Were you able to get any of that experience being there at OVW?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to go early. So I would go to the shows before doors opened or anything like that. And I would sit down with Paul and he would go over the show with us. And I think that's the best education you could possibly have. I always loved the behind the scenes and how everything came together. I find it incredibly interesting and inspiring as well. Watching an idea come to fruition is really cool.
When you started wrestling, did you ever want to be like a producer or running a show at a point? Did you ever have that thought in your head?
I don't know if I ever had that thought in my head. From the very beginning, I fought for women. I fought for more time. I fought for bigger storylines. I fought for being able to stand up for myself. I mean, and I think the first time I really stood up for myself in WWE was about the Playboy. And the Playboy announcement. And I think that was a really big moment because we all fought. We wanted to put our foot down and say, no, this is what we want to do, our body, our choice, our right. And so that's why all the divas came together when I announced my Playboy.
If I remember correct, were you could be the last WWE superstar to be in Playboy?
Yeah, I was. It's the last one.
Oh. Nicole, I'm gonna let you go.
So as someone, I don't want to say I'm part of the wrestling, but obviously wrestling, we all know that wrestling is sort of a niche, sort of like a niche brand, and being a woman interested in wrestling and a part of wrestling is even more creates this hardship, whether you're doing like the media aspect or doing what you're doing behind the scenes and in the ring. So, what I've been very interested, someone who's been following New Japan off and on for a number of years, how was it working there, especially during the time that you were, because there literally weren't any women, and they're just now starting to integrate some stuff with Stardom. So how was it navigating all of that, not only in a foreign country, but in a foreign country where there isn't a lot of women within that sport?
It actually was such a great experience. I had my own locker room, and I was treated so respectfully. Everything that they wanted to have me do in the ring was run past the entire group and the guys that we were working with. Um, I was given a lot of television time, even though I was just a manager. You see me on the show a lot. I cut my own promos when I wanted to cut them. They did a whole storyline about mine and Carl Anderson's relationship. In good fun. We all, it was all tongue in cheek. It was all just funny. And I think that it played really well in Japan. And I think it played really well over here as well. So for me, my experience has been incredible with New Japan. And congratulations to them on crowning their first IWGP champion. I mean, it's incredible on how far we've come. I remember a time when they said they weren't going to have women's wrestling, but now they do. And that just goes to show you that when the fans decide that they want something and they rally behind someone or some idea, it can change things and change them for the better.
I 100% agree. So again, talking about more as you're transitioning, obviously with your work of Ring of Honor, when I first heard it, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, that just sounds like a lot that she's gonna have to take on. So how did you feel? And not only coming from where you were at WWE, like obviously the climate, obviously with the Divas era and having to do the different type of bras and panty matches to going to New Japan, to going all these companies to basically help develop yourself more into your backstage role and into help developing women more professionally. Like, was that sort of full circle, or is it like a finally type of moment for you?
I don't think there's going to be a finally moment where I'm satisfied. I think that um, everyone in this industry has that idea in their mind of when they're going to be able to just relax, and it just never happened. But that's the motivation to keep going. That's the motivation to get there, and to keep creating these opportunities. But I didn't do it by myself. I had a lot of great people that helped me. Bobby Cruz was my partner all last year and all the beginning of this year with Women's Wrestling Army. And he's been my partner in helping book everything, outline everything, show me how shows are built, formatted, all of that kind of stuff. Not only that, but Delirious is probably one of the best mentors I've ever had. He leads with heart, and he leads with just empathy and understanding, and he wants everybody to succeed. And it's because of the way that he leads that I feel like I was able to succeed, that I was able to, be in this role that I had. Plus, all the women around me were incredible. I had everybody from, excuse me, Angelina Love to Mandy Leon, who knew and understood the Ring of Honor audience so well that we were able to develop these new characters around the experienced people that we already had. And my husband, that was the one that was taking on both of the kids when I was on late night phone calls or was having to format shows later into the evening or being on Beyond the Belt, all those different assets. Excuse me. So it takes an army, literally.
So I just have one more question before I unfortunately have to get out of here and head to work. But obviously, just you being able to do what you've done in the company, in every company that you've been in so far. So, what advice do you have for any women who are trying to break into wrestling and not break into wrestling traditionally, whether they want to do stuff, want to be a manager or work in booking or working on the mic? So, what kind of advice do you have for any woman trying to navigate through all of this?
Yeah. Excuse me. It's incredibly difficult to navigate wrestling anyways. But it's even more difficult when you don't see you anywhere out there in the industry. So I didn't see a whole lot of women in the industry that I wanted to emulate, in the sense that there wasn't a whole lot of people booking or writing or producing. There weren't a lot of women in power when I was coming up. So I had to find other mentors that were fantastic with me and with this idea that I could go to one of these roles and succeed in one of these roles. So you have to find those people that are going to support you, whether they're male or female. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you have your support system. So find the people that believe in you, and then use them as not only as people that are going to help you succeed in your role, but also as mentors, as friends, as shoulders to cry on. And if we create this community, it lifts everybody up. And so that's the biggest thing, is find your community and make that community stronger.
Amazing advice. So, like I said, I'm really sorry I have to get out of here, but unfortunately, my shoot job is the one paying the bills right now.
I'll hold it down for you.
Yeah, this is the job that unfortunately has to pay my bills until this really takes off. But again, Maria, I've been watching you again. I don't want to give away my age for a really long time, so I'm so happy to see you face to face and just to talk. But I just want to say, like, as someone who's trying to navigate throughout the industry, and especially like in the media aspect, like a lot of us do admire what you've been able to do and how far you've come. So just literally just keep doing whatever the hell you're doing.
Thank you so much. And AEW does have a really great program with heels, and that's, just finding other women in wrestling that you can make your community, make your friends, and it really helps just bolster people's love of wrestling, but also like it helps you find your place, really.
All right. Well, Terry, Trey D, and Maria, I will see you guys later, and you enjoy the rest of the interview. Peace.
Bye.
Maria.
Bye.
Now, gotta go and talk about this. Let's go back 2021.
Okay.
It's about February. Start hearing Ring of Honor has a women's division. Ooh, okay, let's go. You every week you're announcing who competitors gonna be in the tournament. You got the championship coming up. Through the summer, you're giving us great matches. One of the matches that we talked about on here that we loved was Trisha Dore versus Allison Kay, because Trisha Dore talked to us about she wanted that match. We get to the fall time. You're about to announce a champion. Then Ring of Honor gives us that they're closing down on us.
Mm-hmm.
As a fan, it hurt me because I was very, very happy and impressed what she was doing with that women's division. But was that a driving force in making Women's Wrestling Army?
Yeah, it was tough. it hurt more than being fired from WWE the second time, for sure. Because I thought I'd finally found my place. You know, it was the most rewarding year of my life because we had a mission, bring back the women's division. We had a goal. We get our first champion, then get our first tag champions, get our first women's pure champion. We had our goals in place. We had our team. The girls were incredible that worked with us. And then it all came to an end. So for Bobby and myself, we had this great team, but nowhere to put them. I mean, we didn't have a platform, nothing. So I started hunting around. Brand Army reached out to me first for me to do my own page, which is, it's kind of like Patreon, where it's exclusive content and it's for members. So I started my page. That was going really well. And so then I was like, what if we did a page that was for women's wrestling? And so we started talking with them. They're the ones that gave us our first seed money to get us through our first taping. And so we ended up starting off with them, and then Pro Wrestling TV came to us next. And it really was just, seeing what we could do in Ring of Honor led us to Women's Wrestling Army.
Now, we've had a few people here from Women's Wrestling Army, and I'm just going to tell you what they told me. You are a great producer. You give them the chance to build their character, see who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is just from me. The first show I went to was in July in Logan Square in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to expect. I was like, okay, it's Friday night, women's wrestling. I'm all in for women's wrestling. Let's go. But then some of the matches you gave on those 2 nights, let me tell you, these some TV quality matches.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel just having Women's Wrestling Army and a lot of the women that you have performing, they adore you. Mr. K calls you her mom out in the ring, her wrestling mom. So how does that feel for you?
I just try and stay out of the way. I mean, the honest to God truth is that I feel like, when you're a kid and you go bowling and there's the bumpers,
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to do. I just want to be the bumper. Give the platform and give the bumpers. So nobody's going to, go too off script to where we can't salvage some kind of story, but at the same time can grow enough that they know what they're truly capable of. And I didn't expect to feel like they're all my children as quickly as I did. I am so incredibly protective. It's a very funny story. Last bit of tapings. I had thought something was going down. I was real worried.
That was me.
We're gonna say names. What? So I come out from the back screaming, and you're just playing with me. And I was like, oh no. Oh, I was so embarrassed. But at the same time, that's how I feel about my kids. All of my kids. My wrestling kids, my kids. That's how I feel. I want them to succeed. And I want them to succeed on their own terms. Not because I've placed some character that doesn't make any sense to them on their head. I want them to succeed doing something they love and they're comfortable with.
Oh, funny story. That story. So when she came, here's why it caught me off guard, because I was just sitting over there talking to, I think me and Maserati was talking, and out of nowhere, Mr. Cake comes up from behind me and she says, "Let's get him, Maz." So she has me in a full Nelson, and Maz is fake hitting me. Maria comes and she's yelling at me, and I'm like, They just trying to beat me up. They was like, we just joking. And your face at the end, like, we should have got a no camera. You was like, oh. And she just walked away.
So bad. I was like, oh no. But again, that's how I feel about my kids.
The last set of tapings, I will, if I don't bring it up, I will feel bad. I got posters hanging here. Berwyn Eagles, legendary place that Shimmer been at. Been going there since 2012 myself. How did it feel bringing women's wrestling like a weekend back in there?
It was incredible. Like the whole weekend, I could feel the vibe of Shimmer there. And I hope Shimmer comes back. I don't know if they will, but I'm hoping that they come back because I feel like more opportunities are more opportunities. And yeah, just to have that history behind us and have Allison Danger backstage producing the matches. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better crew that weekend.
Dave, he's trying to bring Shimmer back. People, we may still have hope. Hopefully. Marie, I'm going to ask you a question. I don't know if we could talk about this or not.
Okay.
There's a lot to talk about out here about women's wrestling. If you were given the opportunity, I know you could, but I just want to hear your answer. Would you be able to throw a pay-per-view all women?
There's the question. If we had our backing to do so, meaning the funds, if we had the funds to do so, as a new company, that's always the most difficult thing is making sure that you're backed. And for us, if we had the backing, of course, we have the talent. Our talent, they understand time cues. They understand being on live television. A lot of them have been on live television before. So for us and for our audience, of course we could.
We're going to hold her to that in about a year, guys. We're going to hold her to that. Now, you're the founder of Women's Wrestling Army, do you have maybe 2 or 3 people who you just seen their improvement do so much, or like 2 or 3 people to watch at these new set of tapings?
Yeah. So definitely I would watch Missa Kate. I would definitely watch Brooke Valentine, Gia Scott. Watching some of it back, Kylan King, I feel like she just settled in. Even though she's already a bona fide star, I feel like she really settled in during this set of tapings. So yeah, I would suggest them, but at the same time, I mean, Queen Aminata had a hell of a weekend. Masha was incredible. Jordan Blade, that's another one that I just, from May until now, it's like, holy cow, what happened? Like, it's just been incredible. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are really, really good on the show. Like I said, I just stay out of the way.
A lot of people. Okay, so Northeast first, Chicago, the last 2 tapings. Not that I want you to leave Chicago or anything. I'm not in Chicago, but I'm in the Midwest, so it helps. Have you been looking at some other areas?
Yeah, thinking about Nashville and Orlando. Nashville and Orlando. Orlando, because there's a lot of talent already down there. So again, new company helps a lot with budget and everything. But Nashville, because there's just such a strong history of wrestling there. So those, and plus, with being in the winter months now, it's better to go a little south. But it really just depends.
I was told to mention that Texas has a slew of women who would love to mix it up in the ring.
Who were you told? Huh? Who told you that?
Just some little birdies, you know. Just
I know some women down there. I know all kinds of them down there.
Just some little birdies sit there and love to mix it up with some people.
Some birdies. Okay.
You know, I may have, you know, Mission Pro ladies. You got Shimmer ladies. You got, I mean, it's a lot of women down there. I mean, it's a lot of women everywhere who could be on this lineup. But
it's incredible. It's so hard to try and narrow it down. I always joke with Bobby that if he wasn't a part of the team, I would have like 100 women on every taping. But I would, because there's that many out there that deserve the opportunity.
That's true, because when I saw the Northeast tapings, I was like, ooh, it's a lot of women. Then when he came to Chicago, I was like, ooh, I know a lot of these women. And in my head, I put these matchups together at some point, but you got more mix of people who I'm also finding out about it. They look like superstars too. Like, it's like you're not missing right now, which is a great thing out here. Oh,
there's a few that I really want to bring into the company right now. There's a few that we've had, like Taya and Swole, that I'd like to bring back. Yeah, it's all a matter of like timing, because like everybody's schedules are so busy, and so that I try and like. There's also some opportunity of crossover between us and then international companies that we're trying to do right now. So probably Japan, but there's all kinds of different things that are possible, but timing is the hardest thing.
So I mean, that was one of my questions. So there is some Japan crossover coming at some point.
We're gonna try.
Okay. We're gonna try. She's gonna try that. That's good enough for me.
I mean, how many of our talent has been in Japan lately?
It's been an influx of people going now.
Yeah.
So it's some more people going. I can't say two names that I know, but
Billy's gone recently. Max is gone. But there's a few other names that I've heard are about to go. So I feel like there's definitely some opportunity there.
Yeah. This is my question I asked halfway through. We're halfway through. This determines a lot, Maria. No right or wrong answer, but this determines a lot.
Okay, terrifying.
The Rock or Stone Cold?
The Rock.
Yeah. You picked The Rock, correct?
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We are at 4-2. The Rock is coming back. 4-2 Stone Cold, 4 The Rock 2. I've been keeping this since we started this 2 years ago. On every 20 we start over. And Stone Cold always gets out on us, and then The Rock comes back. So hopefully I can get more people liking The Rock out here. I have to ask you this. I go to a lot of independent companies. You're doing women's wrestling. You're doing great. I think I've already said it, but you're doing great with what you're doing in the presentation on Pro Wrestling TVs. Even the weeks that you're not there, the spotlight on the different women's. I love everything that you're doing. It's storyline based though. Like when you watch the show, a storyline continues that you don't really see on independent wrestling a lot. Was that a big thing for you with making Women's Wrestling Army?
Yeah. It is, because I look at it as it's an opportunity to learn. So the girls are in charge of their own characters, their own storylines. So it gives them the opportunity to learn how to grow a character and a story before they ever end up, getting the big paycheck and then being like, oh dear, I don't know what to do with this. which I didn't have a clue what I was doing when I first started in wrestling. I didn't know, the red lights on their report. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what hard cam was. I knew what none of these things were. So our company, yes, it's a women's wrestling company that we really want to put out a great product for our fans and for everybody that's watching. But at the same time, we want to have a product that the women themselves can learn from and then take that knowledge and go and make the big paycheck and feed their families and be able to do that for a very long time because they know how to grow a storyline. They know how to cut a pre-tape. They know, when the red light's on, you're being filmed. They know where the hard cam is. They know how to make an entrance. They put all these pieces together, and when they get there, they just have to focus on their job. And that is important to me because I didn't have those things. I got those things by being yelled at. Oh, that's not what we meant. How was I supposed to know? Nobody told me. Like, I didn't know. So yeah, it's also like a school in a lot of ways.
A school. So, it's pre-recorded, so if you can't answer this, it's okay. AEW, you said you're now signed with AEW. Ring of Honor's there.
Mm-hmm.
You show up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have plans to? I don't want to say too. I've been told not to say too much about AEW in the past. Do you have plans to try to assist their women's division over there?
Right now, we're focused on the tag titles. We're focused on the tag division. And I think it's very important to have that focus coming into a company and to definitely, show your worth and show up and be a part of the company and win those titles and be worthwhile employees before you try and start changing things. I think Tony does a great job. I think that he's a tremendous boss, and I've not seen a whole lot of what he does in our industry. I mean, everything from sending out emails when it gets close to holidays talking about mental health, sending out emails from the company itself talking about what the flu guidelines are right now, or make sure you're taking care of yourself, or if you have a veteran in your family, please let us know. Or other companies don't necessarily do that as often, and so for me, coming to AEW isn't so I can come in and change a whole bunch of stuff. Right now my focus is the tag titles.
Okay. Got Women's Wrestling Army there. I'm just saying, should be a little nugget in the back of your head at some point. That's just me talking. One of the last things I always ask here, you gotta talk about your wrestling a little bit. If I'm correct, I don't know if I am. You won 2 championships: the Knockouts Championship and the 24/7 Championship. You won them both the same way.
Yep, I did.
Okay, I got that right. Cool. Did you ever have want to win a championship in a match and not making people just lay down?
I really enjoy being a heel. It's so much fun. And it's so much fun to see when the baby face gets it all back. I mean, so I guess maybe early on in my career, I really wanted to, win, but I don't even remember at this point. Um, to me, it's not about the championships; it's about the story.
What's one of your favorite stories that you got to be involved in or actually create yourself?
So Allie and Chelsea and the hot mess storyline. I think
Oh,
that I think that the build up to that was probably one of the best things I've ever been involved with. And I mean, Madison was fantastic in producing the wedding. The writers from Impact, and the crowd itself never stopped during the entire wedding. I've never had that in my entire career, to where the fans just didn't stop for an entire segment. It was it was an absolutely incredible story that we all got to tell together.
That was one of the best stories there at the time. The hot mess storyline. I like to see. uh, uh, Great job with that. Great job with that. Let me just say, I remember those times. So that's a great job with that. Maria, before we get out of here, I got to ask you, if you could take two women who haven't been at Women's Wrestling Army, let's say two women that's in companies on TV right now,
Hmm.
or even YouTube, and match them up against each other. Do you have two? Because like mine would be Camille versus Jay. Like I would just, that match pops me for like the last year and a half just thinking about it. Do you have like one of those matches?
Gosh, now I'm gonna have to think about it. Um, hmm, I don't know. Queen Aminata and Bianca might be a really fantastic matchup. Um, are you okay? Are you seeing it?
I'm seeing it. Yeah. Oh,
um, I think that Ashley Vox is one of the best technicians there is in wrestling right now. Um, Her against Becky would be incredible. Um, Becky against, gosh, there's just I think Becky against Ashley would be really good. Um, and Tony, think that Tony is one of those rare wrestlers that um, I really feel like she brings out the best in people. That she's like Mickey. Mickey brings out the best in the women that she wrestles, especially women that aren't necessarily been on TV as long as her or whatever. Mickey's one of the greatest wrestlers there's ever been. Um, but I think that Tony versus a Billy would be really interesting. There's a lot of matchups for sure.
Women's Wrestling Army. You said Ring of Honor. You had the World Championship. Playing on tag team championships. As someone who's invested in your product, are we going to see any champions there?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going to be champions. It's a timing thing. Our biggest thing is build up the talent. Introduce everybody. Let everybody tell their stories. Let everybody get to know them before we bring in a title. Because the more you care about the individuals, the more you'll care about the championship. And the more you'll care about when they say they really want this championship. So, we know that we need a championship, but we don't necessarily need it today. What we need right now is we need people to know and love our stars.
She got some stars out there, people. Let me tell you. I wasn't at day one of the last taping, but I missed a lot of people on not being there for day one. Colleen King, Billy Starks.
Uh-huh.
Um, she mentioned Ashley Box, a great technical wrestler. Ashley Box energy also is stupid.
Yeah.
Um, I don't understand it, but I like it. Delmi Exo, she
Yeah.
had the X there. Uh, Queen Aminata in Sky Blue.
Yeah.
I saw the third match. I've seen all three of their matches they had against each other, from Florida to Chicago, now Chicago again. Janai Kai, I want to thank you all for. I feel like Janai Kai just goes a lot of places and people don't put her over the way she should. But every week watching Women's Wrestling Army, you make Janai Kai look like a big threat, like she is someone you should be watching out for, like one of the top women that's out here in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I just appreciate just the whole presentation that you're giving everybody here.
That was a big focus of ours in this last set of tapings, was giving everybody their proper entrances. We worked on getting better lighting for everyone. We brought in the Ring of Honor director, Mark Brown, who directed Women's Wrestling Army at this last set of tapings. And so having the Ring of Honor director there and him knowing a lot of the talent and their entrances, it added a lot to these tapings, and you're going to see it on the show. Ashley Vox has a really cool entrance, and Max is just the aura around Max, and capturing that when they make their way to the ring is something you have to have the right director for, and I feel like we did this set of tapings.
Max kind of scares me. I'm
Yes,
not
me
afraid
too.
to think that.
Yes. Yeah.
Every time I'll be like, "Oh, okay." Every time I see him, I'm like, "Hey," Um,
Are you
who
gonna
else?
eat?
Yeah, I don't know. Who's a monster that Max could play? Well, I've seen Max. Never mind. Let's not do that. Okay. Now Maria, this next spot that we do, I call this. Let me bring it up. I call this the put yourself over moment. Like people don't know you. But basically, this is where you just tell them your social media, things that you have coming up, anything that you would like the people to pay attention to. We just would like you to put yourself over.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Maria L. Kanellis, on Instagram, Maria Kanellis, and on Facebook, official Maria Kanellis. You can follow Women's Wrestling Army at womenswrestlingarmy.com. On Twitter, we're W Wrestling Army. And on Instagram, we're Women's Wrestling Army. We also have a TikTok and a Facebook page. You can watch our shows weekly, starting back this Wednesday with brand new episodic shows this Wednesday on Pro Wrestling TV. You can also become an exclusive member, and that's brandarmy.com/women's wrestling army. There is all the behind the scenes videos, photos, things you've never seen before that are all on the Brand Army exclusive content page. So there's so many different ways that you can follow along with Women's Wrestling Army. We also have our YouTube page, which we put full matches up on YouTube weekly. So lots of different places to catch us. But Pro Wrestling TV is the very best spot to watch the weekly episodic show.
Pro Wrestling TV, guys. It's a free app.
It is free, completely free.
You just
and
download.
you us, there's MLW, there's all, I think New South is on there, Warrior Wrestling, there's, is AAA on there. There's so much content that is on Pro Wrestling TV that you can get for free.
And if you haven't even started watching Women's Wrestling Army, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just go. They have a tab. They have all, I believe it's maybe like 16 shows up right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we have our up closes as well, and our documentary series. So if you want more content, there's plenty more content. All together with these episodes, we're up to 36 episodes of content. So we have 10 brand new episodes that we just filmed in Chicago. It was all called Anywhere You Land, because we landed in Berwyn Eagles. But yeah, we're going to have 36 episodes of content. It's absolutely crazy.
I'll give you a preview I was only there the second day, but I saw some great matches. They told me about the matches they had the first day, but I don't know what episode this is going to be on. But the last thing before we left out of that building,
Ooh,
it was I wasn't expecting it, but it was something that was needed, and it was great.
mm-hmm.
And it's so much that's going on. Like it left me with a cliffhanger. I left out of there like, man, so what they gonna do when the next show comes, or is this gonna be the last episode before they start taping the new ones? Like Maria, thank for like me being a women's wrestling fan. Like I tell people all the time, I've seen everything the men can do. Like my first event was the Great American Bash 1989 with my dad when we used to live in DC. So any type of show or match that men can have, I've seen it. And I left wrestling for a while. But then when I came back in 2012, someone gave me a flyer at a show and it was like Shimmer. And I was like, I've heard of Shimmer, but I've never walked into an all women show because I was one of those guys like, I'm not going to go to this all women show just to go in here and see the women and it's going to be some pervs or whatever in there. But some people was like, nah, come check this out. And since then, everything that the women been doing, that's what keeps me in wrestling right now. And the last 2 years, just the products that you've been giving with Ring of Honor and giving so many people opportunities and people who should have had opportunities coming back. And now with Women's Wrestling Army, it's a big thank you from me and everybody who watches wrestling, women's wrestling, for you just putting your time into doing that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's, you know what, it's been the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my career. Just to watch as these talented individuals start to succeed and really find themselves in this industry. So I appreciate you talking about Women's Wrestling Army and talking about women's wrestling in general. I appreciate it.
That's what we're here for. We're going to keep doing it. They gave one of my friends a job there. I didn't even know it. I went to the show and I looked over. I was like, hey, what's going on? It's a great place and great things to watch people. Maria, so so most offensive question I ask. You don't really, are you still wrestling or are you done wrestling?
So I haven't wrestled in years. And my last wrestling match was at WrestleMania. And I feel like, eh, what else? What else am I gonna do? I was never the greatest wrestler. So for me, I'd rather let the great wrestlers do the wrestling inside the ring and be the person that provides the platform to have these tremendous men and women perform.
Okay. All right. No more wrestling for Maria, guys. All right.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
But if somebody came with an offer for you, like say go back to WrestleMania or something to face, would you do it?
We have to see. We'd have to see. It's been a long time. People have to teach me how to lock up again. I don't even remember how.
It had a lockup. You never get how to lock up once you do it one time. All right. So the last question we have here, Maria, what is one thing that is perfectly legal that you are addicted to?
Ah, really bad TV.
TV.
Really bad TV. Yeah. So
What?
like I love I love the spin-offs of spin-offs sometimes. Just because it's mindless. Like you don't even pay attention. You know what's gonna happen. There's gonna be some weird alien creature that shows up that is like the worst special effect in the history of special effects, but you know what? It gets killed and yay, the good guys win. I just, at the end of the day, when I have 2 kids and crazy life, a predictable, really bad TV is what I like. Yeah.
What's one spinoff of a spinoff?
So I'm watching Legends right now.
Tomorrow? Oh, okay. I watched the show. I think it's done now.
Yeah.
But I understand what you mean, because that's a crazy show.
It is crazy, but I love it. I do. I get addicted to TV shows, and then I just, I just keep watching and have them as background noise, Mm-hmm.
Wintertime is the next set of tapings in Chicago.
I don't believe so.
Oh man, Nashville?
I don't know yet. I will let everybody know as soon as I know.
Let us know.
We're right now looking at different buildings right now. So right now we're looking at Skyway in Nashville. But whether or not it's available, I do not know. So we'll have to wait and see.
Are they gonna give y'all any honor? Because last time you was there, it was honor no more and everything with y'all and Scott. Are they okay?
True. I don't know. That was one of my favorite groups I've ever been a part of. It was so much fun.
Y'all was in Chicago at the Face the Bully Club.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Over everywhere. And y'all kept going over when I was expecting Bully Club to win, just with storyline purposes. I was like, man, Honor No More is still winning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Y'all had heat from me, but it was good TV. Oh man, Maria. So I don't know. I've said thank you so many times. I'm just happy to see what comes up on this Wednesday. If you're not on Brand Army, you haven't seen it yet. I've seen the show.
Oh.
It's
one of the best ones.
Huh?
It's one of our best ones yet. It sets up a lot of stuff.
These next shows coming up. I mean, like the first time they was in Chicago, it was here, but they go up. It's a great thing to see, and I'm happy about it. Giving a lot of women storylines, a lot of women that people should know that they don't know. As we talk about this, y'all can go back. Last week we had Gia Scott on there, the greatest damn woman, as she told me.
Oh yeah, of course she did. She probably told you multiple times.
She did. Had to say the greatest a few times for her. She got some killer matches coming up, so look out for her. But Maria, with everything going on, I thank you for taking the time out your day. The first lady of wrestling.
Thank you very much.
Came to our show, man. I'm so like a small podcast like us. We didn't think it would happen, but it happened. So thank you.
Thank you.
This is the greatest podcast ever. No. You should go back just for that song for me.
Just one time,
you can come out Royal Rumble. Hey, guys, just
hey, here I am. Maybe when I'm like 50. They always bring everybody back.
They do.
Yeah. So
got to look out for it. Well, guys, I'm Trey D. Guess what? Maria is right there. You've had her, you've seen her, you've known her for a while. Make sure y'all pay attention to Women's Wrestling Army. We will do the post each week like we did to let you know the matchups coming up on our social media. Pro Wrestling TV, if you don't have the app, download it. It's free. Watch a lot of wrestling. Make sure you watch the back catalog of Women's Wrestling Army. And other than that, guys, I'm Trey D, and like I always say, if I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we love wrestling. It's 2 Street. For the culture.
I love wrestling and you love wrestling, then we. You're not here, you missing out. Is this show?